So today's topic actually is going to be explaining you how we can use Linkurious in your enterprise architecture projects. So here today, my name is Mosan. I'm working here as a sales engineer at Linkurious. I'm joined today with my colleague Elise from the marketing team. So quick words on the agenda of the different subjects we're going to cover today. Just before that, you have also access to a live chat on the right hand side of your screen. Do not hesitate to use it to ask any question all along my presentation. We will actually do a question and answering session at the end. So what are we going to cover today? So we'll start by a quick introduction about Linkurious. We'll then speak a bit about graph technologies, then cover enterprise architecture problematics, and then understand the current challenges and implication of using graphs for enterprise architects. Finally, we will finish by a demo. This demo will be divided by two main topics. The first will be modeling and visualizing your data inside Linkurious, and finally, running impact analysis. So let's carry on here. A couple of words quickly about Linkurious. So Linkurious is a French startup. It was founded in 2013. Today, we have a bit more than 200 customers spread all around the world. To give you some names, we are working, for example, with Cisco and NASA in the US. We also work with a couple of governmental institutions like the French Ministry of Finances. So let me first start by give you a bit of context around graph technologies. So the key value proposition actually of graph database is to store the data as graph of entities. This is called nodes, or relationships. This is called edges. Today, we see an increase of popularity of graph database of more than 500% since 2013. It is the fastest growing database category in the market with vendors like Neo4j or DataStax. But actually, storing and processing the nodes and edges is not enough. What you want as enterprise architect is to be able to use graph visualization solution like Linkurious to go further and to analyze and find insights in your data. So a couple of words now about the different use cases we are working on. So as I told you previously, we are working with a bit more than 200 customers. We work with these customers with various use cases. So to give you the most common one, we treat, for example, AML, which is anti-money laundering. Here we are helping companies like insurers or banks detecting suspicious transactions. We also work, for example, on fraud cases, detecting and investigating criminal networks. Today's main topic is going to be about enterprise architecture. I will pass now the mic to my colleague, Elise.
Thank you, Mosan. So, as Mosan said, today's webinar is about enterprise architecture, or EA. And more specifically, it's about how graph technologies like Linkurious can answer specific challenges and support EA projects. So we will first go through a brief overview of the field in order to understand the nature of the challenges faced by enterprise architects. So according to the Ultimate Foundation, enterprise architecture is a set of principles, methods, and models that are used in the design and realization of an enterprise organizational structure, business processes, information system, and infrastructure. So EA is about understanding how organizational building blocks and assets need to be assembled or changed over time. And the nature of this field implies that enterprise architects work cross-domain, linking business and IT departments together. So this task imply different layers of informations, as you can see on the right, such as business knowledge, data, application, or technology. And those are necessary to take up the challenges of planning and transforming business processes or infrastructure within a company. To achieve this, enterprise architects might work on projects such as architectural overview, impact analysis, scenario evaluation, or even road mapping. If you're not familiar with EA, you might be wondering why it's important. Actually, large companies have to accommodate to a complex set of objectives, infrastructure, and processes. And when it's left unmanaged, this complexity actually turns into paralysis and even in some cases by replacement by more agile competitors. So that's why managing change and complexity is essential for organizations to adapt, compete, and innovate. And actually, by advising the way organizations invest into technology to align with specific business strategies, architects allow to consider change to reduce costs, increase agility, or even to boost the customer experience. But despite being more and more applied in today's large organizations, EA and architects still face important challenges. And some of these challenges actually comes from the lack of an unified view of the enterprise architecture data. As we've mentioned, architects need to follow an holistic approach to build architecture models. But most of the time, each domain information is scattered in siloed tools, and traditional technology like relational databases are not able to leverage those informations. And in those cases, interdependency within the architecture, within the organization, are hard to observe and very time consuming to identify. In addition, modeling tools often only offer a static and partial representations, and this can result in very time consuming projects when architects need to focus on specific aspect of representations. Current solution also lack advanced analytical queries option, which can result uh, impact pertinence and overall performances. And finally, translating insights into business arguments for decision makers can be a struggle, but it's also necessary to advocate transformation and to support projects. Current solution can lack reporting features, resulting in failed project and in the end in an inability to adapt enterprises to changes. So as we will see, Linkurious can help meet those challenges. With it, architects can leverage a flexible and unified model of cross-domain data to visualize interdependencies. And Linkurious helps architects save time thanks to graph analysis and visualization capabilities. To be more specific, one of the main advantage of tools like Linkurious is that they enable architects to get a unified architecture model in a single graph. Graph technologies allow to store graph model with various entity types, properties, and relationships. Those models, as illustrated are on the right, can include every layers of the organization structure, including business, data, application, technology. And paired with Linkers technology, architects can easily access those large volume of interconnected data and therefore avoid blind spots, for instance. The model and the data can also be easily updated to adapt new framework or to integrate the latest architecture change. And in addition to this unified model, Linkers technology provides a comprehensive and visual overview of your data. Architects can investigate representation of their architecture with the dynamic visualization interface. And it's particularly helpful to understand the relationships between entities when implementing new system or framework, for instance. They also have the possibility to choose a viewpoint and create visualization of specific part of their model, which helps provide insight on particular situation when they are conducting impact analysis, for instance. And this allows to deliver information and value very quickly. And Linkurious also support advanced rule-based analytic from network analysis method. These are designed for connectedness and they allow to easily answer complex questions or to monitor the data to identify anomaly, for example. And finally, architect can generate custom visualizations and reports in Linkurious. Graphs are fully customizable from icons, color to the data itself, and they can generate easy to read visualization reports in formats that will speak to decision makers. They can also share interactive widgets and graph to support understanding and validation of EA projects. So those are basically some of the advantages that organizations can find with Linkurious and graph technology. And in the next part of this webinar, we are going to demonstrate it.
I thank you, Elise, for these explanations. So now it's time to go and to start the demo. So actually, the demo will be done in 3 points. So the first point we will start with is by modeling your data inside into a graph. The second thing will be visualizing your data into linkers, and finally running impact analysis. So regarding the first point, actually remodeling your data, we're going to create a representation of block and assets and load data model in a graph database. Regarding the visualization, we will visualize multiple domain, system, and process. And finally, the idea of running the impact analysis will be to visually assess the risk and impact of a new project. So let's start by modeling your enterprise architecture data into a graph. So here we have a simple example model based on a fictitious enterprise dataset. So as you can see, entities appear as nodes. So you have, for example, one node for product, one node for the organization unit, one node, for example, for the application service. They are all linked together by relationships. So for example, if I look on the top of my screen, the process produces the product and is guided by the control. Same thing here, if I go at the bottom, we can see that, for example, the component belongs to the component catalog and is deployed on a device. In a single model, we have 4 different enterprise layers. So as you can see in my screen, we have different colors. The business entities are in red, the application entities are in blue, the data entities in gray, and finally the technology entities in purple. This model serves as the basis to import our data into a graph database. Basically, a simple script allowed us to import our data into a Neo4j database. Linkurious then automatically connects and synchronizes with the database. So let's start by logging to Linkurious. Actually, what we are going to know to show you right now is like how you can use Linkurious to visualize your data. So right now I'm looking at my dashboard where your visualization are stored. So here you have a couple of example of visualization are created previously and are stored. From here, you can see that all your data is indexed in the directory. So if I click on the directory here, you have a list actually of all the nodes inside my visualization. I'm going to click and come back to the visualization screen. We have actually previously saved a global visualization of our fictitious enterprise data. I'm going to open this one, and this is inside the global enterprise resources. I just double click, and here I double click on my previously saved visualization. So now I'm starting using my visualization. I'm going to zoom out a bit. So here, actually, if I zoom out, you see the nodes and the edges. As I zoom in a bit, you will be able to see the name of the different nodes. And if I zoom again, you will be able here to see the different edges. So for example, if I zoom here, I'm looking right now at application 0 called Zontrax, which runs on the platform 1. Same things, this application, for example, provides application service, these two application service were then requested by process number two. Same thing here, I can visually like quickly understand like the different interaction between my nodes and the edges. From here, you can see all your data, and we have a global dynamic overview of your architecture data. We can see all the interdependencies, sorry, this is hard to say, between our enterprise entities. So as I told you, you can see here like the relationship between business actor 0, for example, who belongs to the same organization unit than business actor number 2. Architects actually can also explore the data starting from a central node. So this is something we are going to do. So I'm going to come back to my dashboard. And now I'm going to start a new visualization. So I'm going to click on new visualization. And as you can see, there is nothing on my screen, and I'm going to look for a specific node. So I'm going to type red old, which is the name of one application I want to look at. I'm double clicking, and right now on the screen, you can see the application red old. Next to this application, which is selected, there is also some properties. So for example, you have red old, you have the version, the IP, and the name of this application. What I'm going to do first is to expand this application. I click on expand, and I'm going to get all the 8 nodes and the 8 edges it is connected to. Good. I'm going to deselect and, for example, click on select all the nodes. Once I selected all the nodes, I have also an option here to expand all the nodes at once and all the edges. I'm going to click on this, and now I have on my screen actually some information related to all the nodes and edges it is connected to. There's different ways for me to be able to visually understand how these are connected. And actually, something I quite like is like there's an opportunity for you to use different layouts. One layout I quite like is the top to bottom hierarchical layout. So if I select this layout, actually, it's quite easy for me to understand like how these are connected. We can easily understand on this visualization all connection around our application Redhold from the technology layer at the bottom here to at the top, the business layer. Architects can also easily update the data. Let's say I want to add a new business actor that use my application. I can do this using Linkurious. So to do so, actually, I'm going to click. So let's say I want to add the application Redhold to a new business actor that uses it. I'm going to select Edit first. I'm going to use the right click to create a new node. So this new node will be a business actor. So I'm just selecting this category, which is already inside my model. I'm going to add it. And then I'm going to give this category a name. So let's say I want to call it business actor 4. I just gave a name to my business actor. I'm just going to click on save. Now, as you can see on my screen, I created this new node, which is not connected to anything else. What I want right now is to show that this node used the application 3 called Redhold. This is something I'm going to do right now. So I'm using the right click and creating a new edge. So the source of my new edge is going to be business actor number 4 here. And the target of my new edge is going to be application Redhold 3. The relationship between these two are going to be users. And I'm going to click on save. Actually, I just created here the business actor 3 and relation use related to application 3 Redhold. Now that I'm happy with what I created, it's what's very nice for me is like this is also synchronized in real time with the database. So here, actually, the two relationship I just created use with the application is on real time synchronized with my database. As you can see, visualizing enterprise data in Linkurious is very intuitive. I'm going now to run, for example, impact analysis. Dynamic visualization can also help understand the impact of change. For instance, let's say I was asked if location 0 server could be removed. So if I go at the bottom of my visualization, I have here location 0. And maybe as a business, the business team is asking me, enterprise architect, if it's possible to remove this. Visualization actually helped doing that. So here, for example, I can quickly understand following the edges or everything is connected. So I can see that, for example, application 3 consists of components who are then used in location 0. And then the application 3 also give access to data object, which is stored in location 0. So here I can quickly understand like how everything is connected. And also, of course, because application 3 access and consists of components inside location 0, then of course, having like some consequences of this application, then I can see what is the second layer of consequences. So for example, if application 3 is not working well, there are going to be some consequences on the process 1, which is provided by application service connected to application 3 and request then going to process 1. We can also wonder actually if other business actors will be impacted by the suppression of location 0. Architects can use network analysis method to help answer this type of questions. Actually, I'm going to save this visualization and go back to my dashboard. Okay, I'm now back to my dashboard. What I want right now actually is to be able to search for location 0. So this is what I'm going to type right now. As you can see, as I type log, because we are using Elasticsearch engine on the back, you are able already to see all the results you containing these words. I'm selecting location 0, and right now on my screen, I'm seeing right now location 0. Now, what I would like to do is to use a shortest path method to see how this is connected to business actor 3. So the shortest path actually is something you will find here. So you just select find and you go in path. I'm choosing the starting node. The starting node for me is location 0. And the destination node here for me is business actor number 3 at the bottom here. What I want is to understand how these two are connected via the find the shortest path feature. I'm going to click on this. As you can see on my screen, there's 3 results. So actually, there's 3 ways to connect these two. I'm going to add them all to my visualization, which is done right now. If I deselect here, I will be able to understand quickly how everything is connected. So from the location 0, you have information who are stored. So the data object 2 is stored in the location 0, and the application result access to this information. Then, on the other hand, the business actor belongs to an organization who owns an object consisting of application result. So network analysis methods like the shortest path can help architects answer questions like, are these entities connected? Here, as you can see, actually, even if there is an edge between these two, they are not connected and there is no direct relationship between business actor 3 and license 0. Team can collaborate actually on such projects and architects can share their findings. So right now, I found that actually there were some edges connected, but there were no direct relationship. Maybe this is something I would like to share with one of my colleagues. So the first thing I'm going to do right now is save this visualization. So I'm going to give this visualization a name. So for example, finding 1. I'm going to save it. Once I saved it, I can share it with my colleague. So if I click on menu, I select share this visualization. As you can see, I can give the name of my colleague, but even better, actually, I can give them different rights. So let's imagine I'm working for a big size organization, and not everyone is able actually to modify my visualization. I can here give them only the right to read this information only. I'm going to close it. One thing you can do also is like to be able actually to produce reporting. So you can customize the data to display and create an easy to read graph. So right now what we are seeing on the screen actually is a visualization, but if I zoom in, I see that, for example, the nodes have different colors and there's different icons. So if I click on the right top hand side wheel, actually here I'm able to define some information. So for example, as you can see next to the biggest business actor, there's a toggle which is selected for the name. So as you here, we can see who is business actor 1 and who is business actor 2. If I go on the design panel, I have here the possibility to select some properties I would like to see. So there's properties like the name, the version, the IP, and so on. Right now, I have selected colors on the category. Let's say what happens if I remove this. Actually, if I remove this, now all the categories are in gray and it's a bit more harder for me to be able to distinguish between the different nodes. If I put it back, actually, I have an option, as you can see, you have different colors for the different nodes. And what we did also is like we set up different icons for them. So let's say if I select the set icon for the application, I have actually access to a full list of icons, pretty long. And here I can select one icon to personalize my visualization, and to the global idea here is like make the information easy to read for the end user. Good. I'm going actually to close this option. Um, what you can do also is share the graph with decision makers. So let's say just previously I showed you how you can share the visualization with one of your colleagues. But maybe what you want to do is like publish this visualization to, for example, one of your customer. Uh, if I click on the publish this visualization online, actually I am able to access to an embedded widget. So for example, if I zoom in, you will be able to see that this widget includes, for example, a search bar. And you here also able to access and to move like the different nodes and interact with the information. Let's say actually I don't like the fact that on this node there's like too much legend, and I want to remove this information. You can of course set up this by clicking here on removing the legend. Let's say no, I'm very happy with the result, so I'm going to publish this visualization. I'm clicking on this link, and then you have either a link you can share easily, or embedded web widget actually you can include on any HTML web page. So here, for example, this finding will be able, some of your customer will be able to access these findings and look at the same visualization than the one I'm showing you on the screen right now. Good. I'm going to come back to the dashboard. And just previously, sorry, I forgot something. Actually, what's one thing you can do, you can also export this visualization. So you can export this visualization with some other formats, like for example, Excel, JSON, or also as an image. I'm going to come back to the dashboard and pass actually, so this is pretty much everything for the demo. I pass the mic to my colleague who will conclude.
So thank you, Mausan, for this very interesting demo. Let's go back to the presentation for the conclusion of this webinar. So, as we've just seen, with Linkurious, it's really simple to model and update a cross-domain meta model for enterprise architects. Um, you can also easily query and visualize large graphs. The one we had here was pretty simple with not that much data, but obviously you can work on larger graphs. It's also very simple to collaborate and to report to decision makers with different feature that you can find in Linkurious. And in the end, you get a scalable enterprise architecture that help you reduce the cost and the risk for your organizations. So just a quick word about Linker's solution and about how it works. Basically, as you can see on the right, our customer have data in various formats that are moved into one of the graph databases that we support, either Neo4j, DataStax, Titan, or Allegro Graph. And then you just need to connect the linker server to the graph databases to use Linkurious. So you can either use the out-of-the-box solution Linkurious Enterprise that you just seen in the demo, which is a web application to investigate your graph data. But you can also use our SDK in order to add graph features to new or existing application. And the SDK give you access to the Linkurious Enterprise API and to our Augma JavaScript graph visualization library. So to conclude this presentation, Mohsen will go over two of our client use cases in enterprise architecture.
Yes, so just before starting the question and answering session, actually, let's put some context around what we are doing. So we are here working with one international vehicle manufacturer. As you can see on the screen, it's some confidential information, so I cannot tell you who's the company, but I can still tell you what they are doing using our solution. So they have a complex and large manufacturing process with multiple technology dependencies, and for them it's hard to understand like how everything communicate and how and to understand their network. Using linkers here, they have set up a holistic approach which allows them to run impact analysis, and they can through their visualization they can understand and how everything is connected, and it helps them communicate complex results and drive actions. We also working here with one bank, and which is an international actually financial institution. Their problematic actually here is related to compliance. So they have to write compliance reports following international regulations and law. And these reports are very complex to produce for them. Using linkers here, they are able actually to investigate data lineage interactively, and therefore it's much more easier and faster to produce reports for them, and they are able like to do here something much more easily and with a greater agility. So if you guys have any other question, do not hesitate to write us to the following contact@linkurio.us. You can also connect to our website to find more information about ourselves. Do not hesitate to write us. We will be more than happy to reply. Thank you for joining this webinar and looking forward to see you to the next one.